My grandfather told me what happened. My grandfather, White Bull, lived in a village, Cherry Creek Village. And my other grandfather, White Feather, lived away from them, about a mile and a half or so north of Cherry Creek Village. Cherry Creek and Shine River came to a mouth. They came together right at the village. And that's the village was the oldest Indian village in the Sioux Nation. And he was living there. My grandfather lived up the Cherry Creek ways. And he used to come over to my other grandfather's place, and they used to talk together. And he used to take me along to listen, because he wanted me to catch on to that history, so old history. So I used to go there and just sit. There's a little sheepskin I used to sit on, and they used to sit there and talk. My grandfather, White Bull, was deaf. He could hardly hear. And White Feather wasn't. So they used to talk through a tube. My grandfather had the funnel part, and he would stick that other part in his ear, and he would listen, and he talked through that. But my grandfather, White Bull, has a habit. Every time he talks, after he talks, he would, ʻhearts'd, he'd say. And then he'd say that. He'd do that. He had that habit. And so, at first I watched him, and then after I got used to him doing that, I just faded away. But they told me a lot of things. They told me to sit there, ʻhearts'd kakoja, which means grandson. Sit there. We want you to catch on to what we're telling you, to tell to your grandchildren in the future, or your children. So they told me everything about the Battle of Little Bighorn. When they first camped over there, they went over there, and they would go out on tuea. They call it tuea. In Indian, it would be, in a translation, it would be scout. I mean, not really scout. It's tuea means that they're kind of scouting around for enemy and so forth. All they send them out away from the camp. They circle around on horseback. And one day they see the cavalry coming. And so the party went and they contacted them, and they asked them where they were going. So they were going back to the camp, which was way up north. And it was west instead of, so the cavalry turned and went north, looking for this camp. And then they circled around the hill and came back to warn the camp that the cavalry's looking for them. Each time they contacted them, they would send them off in a different direction. They kept doing that until they caught on. And they found out that they were sending them a different way. And for 2 weeks, they've been looking for them. And then they finally found them. So when they found them, why Crazy Horse sent a scout out to them and told them, you better not come any closer because you're coming to your death. Pehihaska means Custer. He sent him the message, tell him not to advance. But he kept coming anyway. So they decided to get ready. So they got my grandfather. He had the bigger bunch of warriors. And they got him to stay back, stay behind those hills. And when the cavalry come, going to ride across and draw fire, Crazy Horse, he said, I'm going to draw fire. And when they start firing at me, I'm going to lead them off. And as they chase me, he says, they chase me by, there's going to be some up on a hill, he said, it's going to start firing. Indians that have guns. They're Northern Cheyennes, I guess. They had guns, so they start firing over there. Not at the Indians, but they start firing at the cavalry. When they started, and he told White Bull, my grandfather, not to use anything that makes noise. In other words, don't use guns. If that makes noise. When you come up behind the cavalry, their horses are going to be slow because they've been looking for us for weeks, and their horses are played out. And they're going to be slow, they're carrying too much equipment. And the men themselves are going to be so tired that they can't hardly do any fighting. This is a time to rush them. White Bull, was White Bull. He says, you come up behind them when the last cavalry comes through. You come up behind them, keep knocking them off their horses with clubs, tomahawks. Don't use anything, make noise. That's what the order was, so they kept knocking them off their horses. They just run right up on them because they were so slow. And by the time the cavalry realized that they were coming from behind, it was too late. Then they started running for their lives. And they just kept at it until they killed them all. And then in one of the storybooks, they said that White Bull had killed Custer. So I asked him, Grandpa, I said, in Indian, I said, Grandpa, did you kill Custer like they said you did? And he kind of chuckled. Oh, he said, oh, he said, oh means heck, just the same as saying, hell no, heck no, you know. They all looked alike, so we don't know which one is Custer. But we killed them all, he says, so somebody did. And so he was telling the truth, you know, but the storybook tells him that he killed him. But he said he denied it. He said he didn't know who killed him because he had his hair cut and everything. And he looked like the rest of them, he said. So that's what he told me. What happened? What happened afterwards? He told me that they played him out so the horses can't run fast enough. He had other units that came to help them, but they seen what was going on and they abandoned him. Reno and all them, they just took off. Kavanaugh and all them, they started running away from the. And Crazy Horse told the Northern Cheyennes to go after them, so they chased them south and took the flags away from them and brought them back. And then Crazy Horse, they had a victory dance, and Crazy Horse brought the only scout that was alive. They caught alive. Boyer was his name. He was a French half-breed scout. They tied him behind, brought him. They called his wife out. This is your husband. We'll let you decide what to do with him. And here she went, she started walking towards him, and he was standing there with his head down in shame, you know. She walked over, she grabbed the warrior's tomahawk and cut his head open, killed him. And he said, you traitor. But Crazy Horse, there was a lady sitting there, and she had her grandchildren in a grandchild on her back, they wrapped around with a blanket. She was sitting there, and here, Crazy Horse took that flag, American flag, and he didn't say this flag. He said, Le Shinakile, which means this shawl here. He says, he put it around her. He put it around her, and he says, Leta awa kayo le okhlate kokatayadi telo. He said, take care of this shawl. In the future, you will live underneath that flag. He told him, take care of it. And he put it on that boy. This belongs to the Indian women and children. He says, this shawl. So that's what he told him, told that lady. And I don't know what that lady's name, my grandfather said that lady's name, but I forgot what her name was. I should have remembered.
What did your grandfather think about Crazy Horse? Did he see him as a great leader?
Yeah, he was quite a leader. He didn't want to be a chief. He wanted to be a war leader. And he didn't want to be a chief. But he was spiritual. He spiritually inclined. And every time they see him coming to the camp, into the camp with a feather dangling on his back, down, feathers hanging down, they knew there was trouble. They knew there was something wrong. But if you wore it on the side, on the right side, why, it was okay. Everything was okay. So every time they see him come in to get a camp with a feathers in the back, dangling back, they knew there was something wrong. So he didn't have to tell the people. They knew him through that.
And when you say Crazy Horse was spiritually inclined, can you tell us a little bit more about that?
My grandfather always says, "Wakankel Ualo," which means he is spiritual. He lived a spiritual way of life. In other words, he's kind of like he could tell in the future what's going to happen. He has a feeling of what's going to happen, you know, but he has that way of life. My wife told me the other day, she was down to Cherry Creek in here. One of my nieces came to her and she said, I had a what was it, heart trouble, some kind of heart trouble. Vein or something was wrong, and they was going to have surgery on her. So they took her up to the hospital in here. During the time she was there, she had a vision about me. And I came over while she was sitting there. I came over and put my hand on her shoulder, and I prayed for her, and told her afterwards, "You will be all right. You'll be okay when you have the surgery." That's what she told me when she came. And here, this lady, my niece, called me and told me about it. That you prayed for me, and here I lived. So, afterwards, after you prayed for me, my feeling just was light. And she said I was ready to go into surgery. And I came out of it real good. So that's what she told me this morning. She told me that. So that's what he had. That's the way he had. I could just about tell what's going to happen in the future as I sit here.